if you can be front facing in that environment, it's going to help you in not just social, but it's really like business media as opposed to social media. And that's how I think people should approach it. It's like, this is where you can get your customers. This is where you can create your brand and your vision. And it's all in a phone in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Tim Bratz, and every week I sit down with the top influential entrepreneurs in the country to discuss how to leave a true legacy in all things happiness, health, wealth, and wisdom. This is the Legacy Podcast. Hey, y'all, welcome to the Legacy Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Cory Jacobson, who runs the Wealth Juice podcast, and he's a real estate investor, owns about 70 doors, jumped full-time into real estate and some long-term rentals, some short-term rentals. They have a great following and a ton of great content that they put out on social media, helping other folks either get out of the rat race and into real estate on a full-time basis, or scaling their rental portfolio from 1 or 2 doors into dozens of doors and growing it that way. So, Cory, thanks for being here, bud.
Tim, good to see you again, man. I really appreciate your time. And we were chatting pre-recording. Like, we had you on our podcast about can't believe it was this long, 3-4 years ago. I see you all over social. So congrats on all your success. This is going to be fun.
Dude, trying to do what you guys are doing, man. You guys have done such a great job on the personal branding side, and I'd love to talk about that. I think, why don't you share your story first so people know kind of like where you came from, where you're at now, and then I want to dive into the branding side of things, how you guys have done such a fantastic job on social media on that front. I also want to dive into, you guys do a lot of coaching and trying to, overcome the mental barriers that are in place in a lot of people's heads about like, why aren't more people investing in real estate? Why aren't more people buying rentals? It's such a simple thing for guys like us. And it's like, I'm trying to teach my 9-year-old right now how to go out and buy rentals and walk a property and do all this stuff. It's really fun. And, with the concept of if a 9-year-old can do it, anybody can do it. So we'll dive into all that stuff, man. But let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got into what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think we're at an information overload, like time frame, Tim. Like, there's so much information out there. I think people are stuck. They don't know what to do. So just going back to our story, I'll get back to that comment in a second. But like, so I'm 33. I started investing in real estate when I was 26. I literally made it super simple. I went from paying $1,000 a month in rent to living to buying a 3-bed, 2-bath and living for free, renting out the other 2 rooms. I was like, the light bulb went off. I'm like, I'm able to live for free. This is unbelievable. Able to save up some cash and go buy a duplex. So I started out very small. And at that time, Ryan and I were friends forever. And we decided, hey, we have three units between the two of us. We're going to start a podcast. We're going to start a social media platform podcast. We're going to start buying properties together. And the thought behind that is like, I was listening to Bigger Pockets. I'm listening to all these people that have really uber successful, people on your level. I bought 5,000 units. Started in 1998. And I was thinking, it's not relatable to me anymore what these people are doing. Like, I'm hoping that people will follow along in our journey and want to learn along with us, as opposed to being like, hey, this is what I did. Hopefully that strategy works for you, man. Like, it might, but it might not now. So we started with just hopefully people follow along. And we made a pact. We're going to do 1 podcast a week, and we're going to do 1 post a day on social media. And here we are 4.5 years later. And what that proved to us is that people do associate with stories, and they associate with real time and other individuals. Ryan and I were able to brute force our way to get to 8 units, just the 2 of us, just like saving up and putting down payments on properties, and interest rates were low, and it worked. And then what we realized is that the people that we organically networked with through the podcast and through social media, that was how our portfolio was able to go from 8 units to 80 units, really forming partnerships with people that were on the ground. They were boots on the ground. And Ryan and I realized our skill set, like, we were connectors. We were able to raise capital from people that know, like, and trust us because they could go to our social media page and go to our virtual resume that we've been putting out for 4 years and say, oh, these guys, let's hop on a call. Let's see if we're a good fit. So we bought a 43 unit that we're a general partnership on, a 7 unit, an 18 unit, most recently a 10 unit. And it's really just forming really strong bonds and relationships with people that are outside of our backyard. We're in Philadelphia. We started in buying Philly and New Jersey, but now we invest in Vermont, New Hampshire. I have a short-term rental in Tampa, Florida, Pocono Mountains. So it's expanded, and I really can say that it's because anytime someone hands me a business card, I throw it out. I say, what do you have on social? And that's the personal branding side of it. So that's what we've done.
Dude, I'm in the same boat. Hey, do you have a business card? No, I don't have a business card. Connect with me on social. Follow me on social, right? Like it's the ultimate business card. It is, and if you aren't on social media, dude, candidly, you're kind of irrelevant, right? In the business world. If you are not out there talking about your business, promoting what you do, how you do it, how you can help other people, then dude, what kind of business do you really have? So I think social media is, dude, it's two sides of this pendulum of it could be like the worst thing ever with bullying and time wasting and just going down these rabbit holes of meaningless stuff. And then, but if it's used in a productive manner, if it's used to create content instead of consume content, dude, I don't know if there's a better marketing medium out there.
I agree. I think it gets a bad rap. And what we teach, honestly, some of our students who come in or are trying to buy their first or next rental property and scale, like you said, is I said, talk about your journey right now. If
Mm-hmm.
you're buying one property, there's somebody who's thinking about buying one property that has no clue about that, and they're going to relate to the little problems and the things that you're dealing with right now. Talk about it. And then before you know it, you build up people who are interested in the day-to-day of, oh, I had no idea I had to replace these windows. Like it's raining inside my house, like those type of things I think resonate with people and it inspires others. And then if you're able to inspire others, then people trust you. And they're like, wow, like
Dude.
this is something that I could see myself doing. And most people don't want to brag, Tim. That's really the problem, is that they don't want to brag. And my thought is like, if you're not going to advocate for yourself, who the hell's going to advocate for you? No one is.
Yep.
They're not, they don't care. It's everyone's focused on their own thing. So you might as well put your message out there and talk about your journey. And there are going to be some people that latch on. There's going to be some people that hate you. But I was listening to Hermosi the other day, and he was saying, if there's a likelihood that if there's a 100% likelihood that someone is going to hate you, then who cares if it's one person or 1,000? If someone's going to hate you, you might as well just go do your thing anyway. It's every like you can't control it. So I think that's probably what holds most people back is the fear of just being judged. When in reality, like you have to be your own biggest fan and just share your story. And you don't have to brag. You can just tell the story as it is.
I think leading with, dude, I didn't try to brag. I didn't try to tell people how awesome I was when I started my social media kind of journey and documenting. But what I did was I just documented what I was already doing, right? With the intent of truly wanting to help other people, right? I got started when I was 22 years old. I started investing when I was 22, 23, something like that, and bought my first property. And I'm like, dude, this is very different than going to work full time making $40,000, $50,000 a year, which is what all my buddies were doing. And, I flipped my first house and I made $13,000 and I had time freedom and I had and it was like such a big deal that I was like, just need to document this stuff so that way people can see that they don't have to go, down this corporate rabbit hole that everybody talks about and that we're told about throughout 13, 14, 17 years of going to school. And there's other options out there. So I just truly tried to lead with, let me help you. And by trying to do that, it didn't come off as douchey, right? It didn't
Right.
come off in a way that sounded like braggadocious or anything. It was truly meant to help other people. And that authenticity came across and it worked really, really well. And to your point, dude, you don't have to go out and create content. Just document the journey. Just walk the property, talk through, your conversation with the contractor, or, replay what you just learned from the CPA or from the attorney. It's like, dude, just talking through that stuff and educating other people is such a huge part of it. And I found that education creates a lot of respect, and inspiration, you just said this, creates a lot of trust. And
Yep.
trust and respect are the two things that you have to have in order to have influence. And influence is a requisite to raise money, to source deals, to get somebody to take your offer versus somebody else's offer, to start building a team and attracting quality players to your team. And you got to have those two things all the time. So respect and trust, and it comes from education and inspiration.
Yeah, and attention is a new currency. I mean, that really what it is. I mean, I looked at my screen time the other day, I almost threw up, but it's just like I'm on my phone, I'm creating, but I'm also consuming, and it might be 7 hours a day, and it's probably too much. But my thought is, if everyone's going to be there, if that's where the masses are, if that's where your potential customers, your potential business partners, all these people are, you need to be there too. And I have people reach out to me, and this happened the other day. It was a good, not a friend of mine, but he's becoming a friend of mine, and he's in. We had a Tampa, Florida connection. He's got he's probably as big as you are in terms of the real estate, and he hasn't had any social media. He's like, I'm trying to grow even more. I'm trying to get my message out there, and I'm teaching him about how to put his message out there on social, what to post, what not to post. And I find it fascinating because his tenants and his customers and his new base of people that he wants to reach are all doing this, as opposed to what they used to be doing, where before social media was around. So the other biggest thing, Tim, is podcasting. And I'm not suggesting that every single person listening starts a podcast, but I will tell you that one person took a chance on us, and I'll never forget. It was Chad Carson, and I'm sure you know who he is. Some people listening do. He said, yeah, episode 10, sure, I'll come on. I'll chat about my story. And then right after that, David Green, Brandon Turner, you, like all these people started to come on the show. And I thought, I don't have anything to share. I have 4 units, but you know what I'm doing? I'm amplifying the voices of the people that want to get to the masses. And then the relationships start coming in, and it's like I'm like at the end of every show, hey, how can I help you? And then when they don't answer because they don't know the answer to that, obviously I figure out ways to help them. And then that's how the actual value gets provided. And then you remember this person, and then the branding is the whole other side, is like, I don't want to be the real estate show. I wanted to be the wealth juice, because I wanted to be a little bit different. I wanted people to be like, what is that? And I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but my point is, I just think that people are too afraid, and I think they don't realize where the people that they want to connect with are, and it belly to belly is where they amplify the relationship, but the beginning of it is social media.
This episode of the Legacy Podcast is brought to you by the Legacy Boardroom Mastermind. So our goal is to give as much free information away as humanly possible through all of our social media platforms, and try to help people with their businesses, help people with their lives. We also have something for people who want more one-on-one attention, which is Legacy Boardroom. Legacy Boardroom is a board of directors for your business. If you are doing up to about $10 million a year in gross revenue, you're making some money, you got some good things happening, but maybe you can't afford a C-suite of executives, of a chief marketing officer, a chief operating officer, a chief investment officer, a chief human resources officer, and you need access to these fractional C-suite executives. That's what this was built for, at a fraction of the price of what you can find anywhere else in the marketplace. So it's my actual team who have built multiple 7 and 8 and 9-figure businesses and real estate portfolios that is available every single day of the week on these daily boardroom calls. So any questions that you have, you can hop on, ask questions about operations to my COO, ask questions about acquisitions to my CMO, ask questions about raising private money to my chief investment officer, or team building to my chief HR officer. So they're available for you 5 days a week. Any questions that you have, any hurdles that you're facing, anything that you need, these guys are available to help you break through any sort of barriers and take your business to the next level, so that way you can build a business that is designed to feed your life and your lifestyle. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, check out legacyboardroom.com. Dude, I love what you said about this guy out in Tampa, right? He's got a big portfolio. What are you going to teach him about real estate?
Nothing.
Probably not too much stuff that he doesn't already know. But everybody is superior to you or superior to me in some capacity. There's always something that they know better, somebody else knows better than I know. And where you guys do shine is you understand branding, right? And you understand social media, and you understand podcasting. You understand these things that this other guy's got no idea about. And you've been able to take this and say, hey, you teach me real estate, and I'll teach you about social media. And all of a sudden you're able to kind of link arms with somebody that traditionally in business, maybe you wouldn't be able to link arms with.
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden he helps co-sponsor a 50-unit apartment building for you, right? Or he helps bring some money to one of your deals, or he helps joint venture operate that deal with his in-house property management, and you go and raise the money. And then all of a sudden, dude, you're getting into bigger deals, bigger opportunities, and everything starts elevating because you figured out where you were really good and where you could bring value, as opposed to, where you could just extract. And I think that's a difference between what you're talking about, Cory, and what other people do. Is a lot of other people are like, just extract, just take. Hey, can you give me this? Can you help me with that? Can you give me some insight on this? And that's okay. And I think, we all want to give, we all want to share, but a big part of the social media was, dude, I got too many of those. Can I pick your brain calls? I got too many of those. Can we grab coffee? I got too many of those messages where I was like, dude, it's always the same questions. How do I find deals? How do I raise money? How do I structure this? What do I do here or there? And so I was like, let me just create content that's evergreen, that's always on social media that people can go and search in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping, and they can hear my messaging, they can hear my story, they can hear my answer to that question that they're trying to figure out. And uh and it's always out there, and it can talk to 1,000 people at one time as opposed to me having 1,000 individual conversations. So the beauty of it is like this one to many approach, and then the evergreen approach and the virtual approach. Dude, I used to, early on in my career, I was like going on and flying out to LA to speak on a stage and then flying back to Cleveland, right? And it'd take 2 days to go back and forth and be away from my family to speak on a stage for 1 hour versus doing a Facebook Live or doing an Instagram Live and talking to more people. Although you can't see them, you're talking to more people than were in that conference room in LA. And I didn't have to pay for a flight. I didn't have to pay for a hotel room. I didn't have to spend 10 hours of my life on a airplane and 2 days away from my family. And so it's a level of efficiency that doesn't exist in other marketing mediums, but it also doesn't, there's not this direct impact, right? It's not like this instantaneous, I make a piece of content and it immediately delivers value. Like, you have to plant a lot of seeds and cultivate those seeds over time. What does that look like? Like, if somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I want to build a social media platform, how would you take them from 0 to 30,000 plus followers inside of a certain timeline? And what
Well,
expectations would you set with them?
I think it all starts with consistency. Excuse me. And I think that within our coaching program, teaching people how to buy their first or next rental property, the last pillar of our coaching program is actually called social scaling system. And that is to amplify your voice. Hey, I have one, I have 2 units. Like, let's talk about it. And we talk about potentially starting a podcast, how to post on social, establishing your personal brand. But what it really starts with is consistency. And I'm a victim of this all the time, of looking at the views and the likes and all of that. But if you show up to someone's page and you see 1,800 posts and you see every single day that they put a piece of content out there and it actually delivers value, it's speaking to your core audience, I think it's really hard to lose. And another, just to bring up another thing that Alex Ramosi says, I've been consuming a lot of his content. I mean, he's like, I literally am like, he's speaking to me, when I hear him talk. He said his podcast didn't have over 4,000 downloads a month for 4 years. Now, like, most podcasts, in fact, 85% of podcasts don't get past episode 5, Tim. So it's like, you can't see if you're going to be good if you don't just do it over and over and over again. And I realize that's kind of like a cliche thing to say. And of course, but I'm telling you, like, the only way to grow is to do something until you can't get it wrong, really, and just over and over and over again. And then obviously you have to develop changes within the algorithm. But we made a pact. We're posting one piece of content a day, every single day, one podcast a week. Now we're at 2 podcasts a week, and we're at about 10 pieces of content a week. So like 1.5 a day. And I only
Are you
haven't
guys running
scaled.
all that? Do you guys have a social media company that you hired? Do you have like an intern? Do you have like a full-time admin that handles your social media? Like, how do you guys handle that?
The only thing that we have is a video editor. And honestly, like, to be candid, my girlfriend has been editing some of our videos on CapCut. Like, so I'm answering all the DMs, I'm posting all the content. I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Rye does Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Like, you'll notice on our page, it's like insightful tweets and shareable items that, like, oh, this message resonated with me, I would send this to somebody. That's how we cast our vision out there. And then it's, video of me talking about a specific concept, a deal in front of a property, something I'm passionate about. So it's all us. I mean, we have a video editor, as I mentioned, but they really focus more on the podcast. So
Well, dude, I think the whole, formal content is kind of like going away, right? Not really going away, but there's this freshness to, the candid content where you're just holding your phone, walking the property yourself, as opposed to having like perfectly edited content
Oh,
these days.
totally. Yeah, it's so Instagram actually like kind of rewards you for using their editing tools and not using like Adobe Premiere, right? And having like flashy things come in and like cuts to all different like beach scenes and stuff. It's kind of like overkill. It's almost like movie production type level stuff. I think people want to hear the raw, they want to hear the real, the likes, the ums, and all of that. And for us, we kind of have a blend. Like, I want to make sure that my message pops up, it's very clear, but just to go back to one thing you said, Tim, what you said before about the guy in Tampa, that wasn't specifically with him how this worked out, but the exact 18 unit project and 10 unit project we just did was somebody who's now been a good friend of ours for 3 years, who has probably 1,000 social media followers. He has a portfolio of 400 units, and he was getting tired. He wanted to operate. He didn't want to raise money. He didn't want to do all the investor relations stuff. And he came to us after coming on our podcast and said, well, you guys raised some capital for me after we'd known him for 18 months, right? Like I had to understand who he was, his business plan, his vision. Was he a good person? Did he align with us? All of those things. So we raised capital for the 18 unit, did investor relations. We did some underwriting. We did marketing. We're sending out emails. You know, you can't just solely raise capital, but we aligned his what he was good at and what we were good at, and we meshed them together. And then we just did the same thing for a 10 unit project. So I know you're asking about the social. I just wanted to go back to touch on that because those meshing of those two things were exactly what worked for us, and now we create content so that we can teach people how to do the same thing, basically.
Dude, I love it. And I think it makes everything easier, right? The question that I always think of is if more people know what you do versus less people know what you do you think you're going to get more business or less business, right? Like
Simple
it's
math.
so simple that like you just have to be consistent. The issue that, to your point, we've hit on this several times is like the consistency. It's hard to be consistent when we are consistently inconsistent as entrepreneurs, right? We're jumping
Yes.
around, we're chasing shiny objects, especially early on, before you like really catch your clarity and your focus. It's like, dude, if you can't be consistent with it, then you need to hire somebody to be consistent. Find the who to do the what, right? And find that person and make it their responsibility to post every single day to be consistent on the social media content. Because to your point, dude, like I have this property management software, and it's going to be coming out at the end of Q2 of this year.
Something you
And
created, you're saying?
yeah, so dude,
Oh,
we spent
cool.
3.5 years developing this. It is
Wow.
bananas. It's awesome. Um, it combines a CRM with workflow management, with property management software, with accounting software, with communication software, with digital signature software, with like tracking of maintenance guides, like all this stuff, along with AI compiled all on top of it. It smokes everything else that's on the marketplace. Yeah, I'm biased, but it really does because I've used them all before. But anyways, we instead of going out and finding some like plugin for a financial payment processing facilitator, we actually went to the bank and directly wanted to create our own payment processing. So that way we could control the flow of funds, de-risk a few things, and also have real-time data of being able to link the accounting side of things with the property management side of things to then be able to reconcile financials in real time, like on an hourly basis. Instead of having to wait until the 15th of the following month to get financials, it
Yeah.
has it in real time, dude. You press a button, it's reconcile financials, right? And so we went straight and we have the ability to develop that because of my developing partners and stuff. So we go to the bank and they're like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Dude, you know what they did? They usually wouldn't approve a brand new business for something like that. They went to our social media and they looked
Yeah.
us up on Instagram because I paid a social media firm for the past year and a half to just post every single day about this software. We met with them a few times a year, created a boatload of content, and they deployed content 5 times a week for the past year and a half. There were 500 or 500 posts, let's call it, and all this good production and some not good production, but just like, authentic, uh, not edited or anything along those lines. But because it was consistent and then it tagged me in a whole bunch of stuff and all these other things, dude, it created instant credibility and they approved us to then become our own payment facilitator instead of having to be in business for a decade, all because of social media.
That's okay. That's like the highest level of how this can help you.
It's
And I mean,
insane, man.
it's so it happens to me all the time where I kind of even because of like, I don't know if this happened to you when you first became like a full-time entrepreneur, but like people get in discussions about like, what do you do? I almost like I'm just, not that I don't want to tell people, but I'm like, I say I'm a real estate investor and people are like, huh, okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
Like everyone, you
Oh
own
my
a
gosh,
house?
my sister's
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend owned a house once.
Yeah. So like I don't but then what happens is Tim is like they're like if you do get into these conversations, yeah, I'm a real estate investor, like I teach people how to buy real estate and then when I'm like, "Hey, yeah, check us out on social." It's like, "Oh, like it's like, oh, this is legit." Oh, you see people like yourself on our page, or you see people that we're interviewing. And I think the validity aspect, not just personally, but like you said, in the business form and function, like the people that are working at these banks, Tim, they're just people that
Mhm.
have opinions. Like I know they have systems and processes, but you can still impress upon your skill set to them even. So I think it's especially the way that the world is moving. AI, everything's fast. You can watch the stock market go up and down. Like everything is very like in your face and quick, and it's all these little computers that we carry around in our pockets. So if you can be front facing in that environment, it's going to help you in not just social, but it's really like business media as opposed to social media. And that's how I think people should approach it. It's like this is where you can get your customers. This is where you can create your brand and your vision, and it's all in a phone in your pocket.
Dude, it's unbelievable how powerful it is. And the connections that it makes, right? You don't hear a crazy story. When I was like 22 years old, somebody's like, create a bucket list and put 100 things on there, things that you want to accomplish before the end of your life. And so I wrote down like all these different, and it's easy to find 25, 30 different things. And all of a sudden, you really have to start stretching yourself for the other like 70 things. And one of the things that I wrote down when I was 21 or 22 years old was I want to have a friend in like, or like a business associate in literally every city in the country and in every country around the world that I can just, go and visit that city and say, hey, who's in this town, or not say who's in, but like look that person up and say, I'm
Yep.
coming into town. Let's go grab coffee. Let's go grab lunch. Let's go grab drinks or whatever. And I had no idea how this would happen. I didn't have a social media, following or anything along those lines. But then I looked back at this bucket list, a few years ago, and I realized like literally I could go to any city in the country today and I'd be connected with an amazing, amazing human, an entrepreneur, somebody that I do business with or could do business with just by posting on social media because of the content I've created and the community that I've created. And it's like, dude, that shows you the power of writing down a goal and being able to achieve that goal, because it's unreal, like that being able to actually materialize into something actual and touch and feelable, right? And it's like pretty
Without a doubt.
wild, man, that you could go and do that anywhere. If you want to go expand to Wisconsin, you want to go expand to North Dakota, you want to go expand to Alaska, like I could literally press a button and see which of my friends on Facebook or which of my followers on Instagram are in those communities, do a post and say, I'm looking to expand here. Raise your hand if you're in this area. And then you go and boom, you could be in a new market if you wanted to. It's like the possibilities are endless of what you could achieve.
The community aspect that you mentioned, Tim, is I think probably the most important thing and the thing that's developed for both of us, right? Like you are not able to run a mastermind without the power of social and the power of branding and the power of putting your message out there. And now people come to you from all over. You're able to host something and teach and connect, even when you and I are 1,000 miles apart right now, and we're having this conversation here. I think that's the biggest thing that we've learned, is that I don't have to be physically in front of people to like really help them in their journey. There's people in our community, I'm sure it's the same with you, California, Oregon, Dallas, Florida, New York, PA, and we're helping people buy property that live in California that think they can't buy there, and they're buying in Augusta, Georgia, as an example.
Mhm.
And we're doing all this virtually on Zoom. So I think what people are missing in their journey and to help them get to the next level is looking at other people that are doing the same thing, that are not 1,000 steps ahead of them, but that are a few steps ahead of them, that they can relate to, that can say, hey, Tim, or hey, Cory, am I doing this right? Like, am I looking at this deal correctly? Like, am I underwriting it? Like, and now the masterminding and the coaching, you're able to get in those rooms, share screens, you're able to physically like look over people's shoulders and show them. And all of that is possible because you decided to put yourself on social media X amount of years ago, and you started this podcast, what, 3 or 4 years ago. And without that, I mean, I don't know the numbers that your coaching business or your mastermind does, but I imagine it's a revenue stream that is healthy for you. And for me, it's what I do full time. Like it's
Mhm.
my coaching business is full time. So I live off of this income. And but at the same time, I'm able to show people the path that I was able to take. And it's like it's what I love to do.
I
So
love it,
I
dude.
think, yeah,
So,
man,
so if
it's
you
so
were
much
if
fun.
you were to give if somebody came to you and they said, "Hey, what are the three action items the most needle moving action items in order to grow a personal brand, um, and become reputable on social media. One you said was staying consistent. What
Yep.
would be two more actionable steps that somebody could say, take from this episode and go and implement it today in order to then start building their personal brand?
Yeah. I would say that create a funnel. It would be one of them. So the funnel is okay, where do people go for the short, snappy? This is the content that I can view for 20 to 60 seconds that I get the overview of who you are as a person or what your brand is as a person. So that is Instagram, that is TikTok, that is YouTube Shorts. Okay, that is the top of funnel, if you will. And then the middle of the funnel is start a podcast or some sort of vlog. I know that's kind of like outdated, but like a long form content where you're talking about the in depths of your journey. That is also evergreen, like you're saying, Tim. So the first thing is short form is gets people, it gets more eyes. You want to go viral, you want to get as many people looking at it as possible, the people that resonate with your content the most. Then they go to the medium form or the long form, that is your podcast, your YouTube channel. People stay there, and then from there it is like, okay, you're interested enough, you've been listening, you're nurtured, you understand what we do. Then honestly, you need to have something to sell to these people. And it can be a coaching program. It can be the deals that you're doing. It can be just, hey, I want to create new connections. I want to start a mastermind. Like, so what is the thing that you're selling is like maybe the wrong word, but it is. It's like, what are you selling to these people? And then a link to your website, a link to book a call. So that's like kind of in depth, the direct. It's like post content every single day, have a long form that they can go look at, and then, get in direct contact with you or a member of your team. So that's one other thing I would say.
Dude, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. So a funnel starts big and then it gets smaller, right?
Yep.
And so the top of the funnel is the quick, easy content. Somebody can consume it in a minute and it's
Yep.
free.
Yes.
Boom. Next one is now they can really figure out who you are, what you stand for, what your core values are, what your goals and ambitions might be. And that's kind of the longer form content, still free, right? You're just
Yes.
giving, 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 giving. And then kind of towards the bottom of the funnel is these are like the serious students, right? The people who do want one-on-one time, or they want some group time, or they want your insights, and they're willing to pay for it, right? And dude, I think people look at selling stuff as uh, like a negative all the time because nobody wants to be sold anything unless you do, right? Like, guess what? I have reached out to certain people and said, dude, do you have a mastermind? Can I pay you to coach? Can I, come in and travel and see you? Can I, like, what does it look like in order for me to consult with you? Because I really like your messaging. I really like what you stand for. I know that I'm going to take your insights and actually put them to work, right? Like, I want to be sold something. I've reached out to Hormozy and asked him that. I've reached out to this one guy, Peter, who's 85 years old and he's got this huge portfolio, was a big developer worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I just like his messaging online. And I reached out to some of these other guys that I want to go and spend money. And so it's like, dude, if you're not
Yep.
offering that opportunity, you're not serving your audience well enough, right? You don't have to sell everybody, but you have to at least make it known that there's an option and an opportunity to come out and learn. And guess what? You got to be able to differentiate. And usually you differentiate real people, the takers, from the people who are going to actually take action by pay to play, man. And that's just the
Exactly.
easiest way to differentiate people who are going to take your insights and take your information, and they might take it, dude, and go to the moon with it and do amazing things and light the world on fire. And that's awesome. And then there's other people who might get this information and never do anything with it. And they just
Yep.
wasted Cory's time. 2 hours that you could have spent on your own business, with your family, with your friends, on a hobby, that they just lit your time on fire, dude, and you will never get that back again. So the only way to really differentiate it and find true, okay, hey, I'm good with doing this, whether you take it to the moon or you don't do anything with it, is you got to pay to play, right? And now it is worth my time and worth my attention in order to spend this time with you.
Absolutely. And I think it got every business idea starts with a problem or a need, right? And people were coming to us, just like you said, Tim, and they're like, hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, can I buy you coffee? And it's like, I'm now starting to see entrepreneurs like yourself come out and talk about this, that people don't want to be took to coffee and to lunch. And like,
No.
I've even adopted
What,
that.
dude, what
Like,
the hell
yeah,
value does that do for me, right? Like I can afford my own cup of coffee, right? You don't need to buy
yeah,
me coffee. Like leading with other value. You know what I care about is, dude, let me have you on the podcast and let's collab on some stuff and let me pollinate some people towards your audience. You cross pollinate people towards mine. And guess what? Depending on where they are on their journey, they're going to better be served by me pushing people to you or you pushing some people to me. And that's a great way to collab and do stuff together, right? And then you and I have a conversation after this podcast of, dude, what does it look like if you come out to one of my events or I come out to one of your events or we start doing some stuff together, or I'm up in Philly and I'd love to hang out, right? Like there's another level of what could come from it because you're leading with the value that you can actually bring as opposed to just take like a lot of folks.
without a doubt. And I mean, I think that I'm just going to be candid about this, Tim. There's no like the level that you're at. The only reason that you and I are having this conversation right now is because of personal branding. Like I don't, not that we wouldn't be friends. I'm sure we could be friends, but like you're at a level that is 10x where Ryan and I are, right? So the reason that we have mutual benefit for each other is like, hey, Cory and Ryan have built this personal brand. They can educate the people that listening to my podcast about personal branding, and also maybe my message can get out on their social platforms and I can talk to people through them. But if we didn't start our journey documenting it, that is, and we just were guys in Philadelphia that had, 60, 70 units, you might not think, what is it worth it for me to have a conversation with Cory? Like, I don't know. I have 5,000 units or whatever. And I think not to like talk down to people or anything like that. And I'm not even suggesting that you would do that. But the point is that the reason that we're in the room together and how we got to this point is all because of social media and personal branding and putting
Yeah.
your message out there and the mutual benefit that we can give each other. And now how we're friends anyway. But it's just,
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. And I'm almost like self-validating
Well,
myself right
dude, you
now.
have to have some sort of self-interest in anything that you do. Everybody
Exactly.
does, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sending your kids to a certain school is because you have a certain level of ego to stroke because you want your kids to have good grades and get into the best colleges and do whatever else, or living in a certain community, right? Or whatever your hobbies, like everything you do is because it fulfills you or satisfies you or makes you happier or strokes your ego or whatever in some capacity or promotes your business. And that, dude, that's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
for
Right.
me to be on your podcast, get exposed to your audience, and you get the credibility from having me on your podcast, right?
Exactly.
And vice versa, right? I'm able to deliver a ton of value to my audience through you and your insights into building a personal brand. You also get validity to my audience and get followers from it. And that's awesome, dude. That's a great mutually beneficial relationship. And that is how everything should be designed, right? Where we're in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, doing stuff together, promoting each other. Dude, and that's a positive thing to do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if there's another thing, it's like start a podcast. It is a lot of work. It's a ton of work.
It is.
But if you get good at it and you understand how to communicate, it also allows you to have such wins in other areas of business. Like I can walk into a room right now and I feel very, very, very confident talking to anybody about a lot of different topics and also inflection points and how to speak and when to stop and how to it's changed the negotiation game for me 100%. Like I know where to step in, where to step out, and I can feel like I can be in a room with anybody. And people that I didn't think 4 years ago before I was good at podcasting, I listened to our first episode the other day. We freaking sucked, dude. We were terrible. And then I was like, but we just kept doing it. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, I just have built the confidence and the communication skills. So start a
Dude,
podcast.
it's like going
It'll
to the
be mutual.
gym.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
dude, you go to the
exactly.
gym every day and you're not that strong the first time. And then you get really strong after going consistently over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And dude, you're a fantastic communicator. You're really good at, coming up with and easily identifying certain speaking points. And I've identified that just in our conversation today. But, I think the key here is start doing the activity and you will get better at it over time and the consistency over time. And dude, think about the relationships, the people that you were able to connect with that you would have never connected with if you didn't have a podcast, right? The players and the introductions that then get made all because you're like, let me share your story, right? People who are doing big things like to hear about how awesome they are at whatever they do. And a lot of them don't have that fame aspect of having a personal brand, and you being able to kind of bridge that, dude, it's a huge benefit to other people. And then it opens up doors to you and credibility to you because you're able to lean on them.
The last piece of advice I'll leave here is that as long as what you're doing is leading with authenticity, and let me just break that down a little bit more. Um, you have to do the thing before you can talk about doing the thing. So if you're going to talk about the trying of doing the thing, not to pretend like you've already done the thing. Now, hopefully that resonates with people, but it's like,
Say it
I'm
again.
not, yeah. So do the thing, right? And then if you're don't talk about as if you've already done it, right? So like I'm not talking to my audience about buying 50 unit apartment complexes because the largest one we've ever bought was 43 and I did it on a general partnership and I didn't underwrite that deal all the way through. Like Ryan and I raised capital. So we talk about those aspects of the deal that we were participating in. My point in saying this is you have to go out and create validity to yourself and do the thing, and then you can talk about those things that you do. But what you can do is talk about you trying to do the thing, and people will resonate with that as long as you're in
Agreed.
that place. Hey, I'm trying to do this, and I'm telling you that I'm trying to do this, and I'm not telling you that I'm an expert, unless, of course, you are an expert, and then talk about being an expert. But my point is, don't go out there and try to be somebody that you're not before you are that person. And I think that is the biggest thing about personal branding. It is personal. People want to know about you. They want to follow your unique journey, and you have something that you can give to way more people than you think just by talking about the exact stage that you're at and not skipping steps. So, I mean,
Dude,
that's what I would say.
I agree 100%. I've seen, because dude, there's people that resonate with you that wouldn't resonate with me. There's people who resonate with me who wouldn't
Exactly.
resonate with someone else. Like there's a girl who used to be in my mastermind who is like little 4'11" Hispanic firecracker, dude, and she'd flip houses. And guess what? There's people, and she's from Mexico, and she resonates with female entrepreneurs, with Hispanic entrepreneurs, right? With house flip and like people that would never resonate with me. And she's got this huge following because that's who she is, and she owns it. I have people who are firefighters who are working a full-time firefighter job and then doing real estate on the side, start buying a few multifamily
Yep.
properties, dude, and they have massive followings in the police force, in
Yep.
in the firefighter force, in the EMS, like
Military, all
people,
that, I'm
military,
sure.
right? You've
Yep.
seen it in the military folks because, dude, that's who they correlate with. That's who they can identify with. And by being able to be that person for that community, dude, you're able to then have this niche, right? I think a lot of people try to go wide instead of like going very, very niche. And I remember a saying, niche makes you rich, right? So the
Yeah.
more niche you are, then once you're known for that niche, you can go a little bit wider and expand. But I think it's really important to just own who you are, where you are on your journey. Somebody who's trying to get their first 5 doors can't even conceptualize 5,000, right?
Yeah.
And so I've
I can't
lost
even
that
conceptualize
audience.
5,000.
Yeah.
You
So like
know?
I've lost that audience, right? And so I try to go back and I try to talk about those first 10 rentals that I ever bought. But at the same time, man, it's just that's not where I am on my journey anymore. And I'm not a very good coach to those people because I can't really relate anymore
Yep.
either. So it's better they go and learn how to get their first 5 doors or 10 doors somewhere else. And then they come to me once they're at 100. I can show you how to get to 1,000. I can show you how to get to 5,000. But it's just, it's just based on who you are, where you're at, and where you are on your journey. And so, uh, I owned it, man, when I was in 2015, when I was still, buying some smaller multifamilies and stuff. And that's what grew my social media following so substantially in 2017, 2018, and beyond. So it all starts somewhere, man. Then people can still continue on the journey with you. So, Cory, man,
Without a
this has
doubt, man.
been an awesome episode. I love having a conversation with you. You're so easy to talk to, man. And you got to come down to Charleston sometime. I got to show you around. I know you haven't been here yet, so I wanna
I
I
have
wanna
not
take you
been
out,
there.
dude, and show you some of the good spots.
I appreciate it, Tim. This is great, man. It's good to reconnect. It's so cool to like watch you flourish on social, and I'm always following. I'm a fan. I'm a supporter, and I would love to take you up on that at some point. I've heard amazing things about Charleston, and anytime in the winter I can escape the Northeast weather, I will. I always look to try to do that. So
Well,
I
dude, get
appreciate you
down
having me
here.
on, man. This is great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
again.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for sharing all your insights on the personal branding side. What's the best place for people to connect with you and follow your journey and get some of the wealth juice?
Yeah, thanks for the plug there. So that's exactly it. And it's my partner Ryan and I. So you can find us at Wealth Juice Official. Really, Instagram's our biggest place. We are growing a little bit on YouTube, and then we have the Wealth Juice podcast. We post 2 episodes a week, have great guests like yourself on. We talk really just building a better life and and controlling and having life on your own terms. So there's a lot of real estate. There's a lot of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of business, but there's also the mindset and just the talking to cool people and surrounding yourself and doing things you love every day. So at Wealth Juice Official on Instagram, and then the Wealth Juice podcast would be the best place to find us.
Awesome, man. And so if anybody's on their journey and you guys want to connect with Cory as well, just go to their podcast or go to their Instagram page, shoot him a message. He's answering his DMs
It's me.
and we'll communicate with you directly. So, dude, appreciate you being here, man. Looking forward to continue to watch your journey.
Thanks, Tim.
Hey, well, thank you for being here. Hopefully you got a ton of great value out of this episode. We try to give as much free value as possible across all of our social media platforms. So please make sure that you're connected with us. We are at Legacy Wealth on YouTube. We are at Tim Bratz on all other social media platforms. And we're available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. The best way that you can support this podcast is by just subscribing to our YouTube channel, by liking the video, by commenting on it, and by sharing it with anyone else who might get some great value out of it. So thank you again for being here. We'll see you next Sunday on the Legacy Podcast.